Good evening, everyone, and welcome to all of you. Thank you for coming, and also thank everyone, Paul and Steve, everybody, creating this transmission to many other people around the world to be able to share with us these teachings through the good effort of modern technology. We are able to hear these teachings. Of course, since Shakyamuni Buddha turned the wheel of Dharma in Sarnath, the wheel of Dharma has been set in motion. It is ceaseless turning, and this is evident of that. It is as a result of that one amazing, activity, just at the very beginning of which Buddha set the Dharma in motion, the wheel of Dharma in motion. The earth shook 6 different ways. And it is the very effect of that is that we too are able to hear it directly from the very teachings of the Buddha, come in form of writings by likes of Nagarjuna, and then through the transmitting through different languages and avenues, like we have the opportunity to do this study as a result of having an established center here. So I'm glad that our facilities and activities could not only benefit those who can physically come here, but also those who can access these teachings from wherever they are. So we are continuing the Nagarjuna's letter to King Gautamiputra, a very famous letter, and it has over 120 verses, and we are going through a number of verses each evening. So in the last 2 sessions, we have covered a good part of the introduction to the text, and in which Nagarjuna lays out the importance of guiding people like Gautamiputra, who was a layman, but should he or she wish to enhance their practice of Dharma on top of their good karma of being born as a king, or being born as us, as a people living in this 21st century, but enjoying the luxury or benefit of modern technology, but nevertheless not losing sight of the importance of one's spiritual life, that people should learn to better their lives whenever they can. And listening to the Dharma is considered one of the very important activities. So that's the part of the reason why Nagarjuna wrote these teachings. Last week we finished the importance of being mindful in not doing wrong things at all. Even or even on behalf of your own loved ones, one should not do any harmful things. Even it is for your loved ones. So they're talking about how to restrain negative karma, and talking about the consequences of this negative karma will, of course, not be shared by those who you do it for, in the name of father or mother or king, or it says you shouldn't do any of those even for your people. Reason for that is that negative karma created by oneself will only ripen upon the person who himself has created. Like an ox that pulls the cart is followed by the very cart he pulls. Bird that flies, is followed by the shadow of his own body. Likewise, karma that one has created and consequences of that will not be left behind with the aggregates when one passes away from this world, but will follow oneself. So it is this, with this, all the performing harmful actions will not instantly cut like a weapon. So we're talking about some people might not mind doing wrong actions, thinking that it doesn't harm. Look, I didn't get any harm by doing this, as if the result should be ripened instantly. But the result of sinful action will manifest when the time of death arrives. sometimes after death, sometimes death itself might be very much as a result of the kind of harmful thing one has done. Some people have a very miserable, long death, very painful death, and they wish to die, but they couldn't. There are karmic causes for people dying such miserably. There are said to be very 9 unfavorable ways of dying. Not only the whole death is unfavorable, but even 9 avoidable causes of death. So if one is causing slow, I suppose, torturing or harming somebody, whether it's creatures or animals or whatever, of course they will, so as a result of that, will not straight away be punished by the animal or beings who are helpless that we could control, because we are more powerful. We can say, put down, I cannot look after my dog anymore, or whatever. Of course, putting down a dog doesn't straight away bite us on the day or week or month straight away, but soon it will ripen as a form of karma, even as soon as when one dies, how one dies. So therefore, Nagarjuna highlights the importance of restraining from wrong actions at any time, or not even on behalf of your own parents, unless one has a very excusable reason due to one's own good motivation one is doing for a very greatness of many, but otherwise it should not be so. So that's verse number 31. And so, having received a very blessed life, if if one is to restrain from negative karma, then how should one live the life? So the next point is how one should go and collect the seven heavenly virtues. 7 heavenly virtues. These are 7 heavenly virtues. The sage declared the 7 noble treasures. It means that the Buddha has said that the person must live a life by learning to do these 7 things. What are the 7 things? Because each of these 7 things is like a wealth that is fit for oneself to live in the heavenly realms. Even heavenly realm beings do not enjoy the benefit of these good karmas. So this is heavenly. Firstly is a faith. Of course, faith here refers to faith in the law of cause and effect, faith in the law of 4 noble truths and the triple gem, and one is very deeply having faith in that. So having faith in the Dharma. Some people say they believe in Buddha. Amazing. They just have no difficulty. They believe in Buddha. That is one of the highest virtue that will take a long time, that no intellectual pursuit can match. Some people are intellectually very sharp. They have so many arguments. They can write a couple of books arguing against every religion, but they still will take eons before they have the faith. They have the merit to have faith in the Dharma and law of cause and effect. So those who have the karma, to have faith in the triple gem and the law of karma, they should regard that as a well-earned merit from many lifetimes and treasure that. That's faith. Second is morality, because one who has faith in the law of karma and so on will therefore will learn to abstain from doing anything harmful, injurious, violent, destructive to other living beings' life. That's the morality of abstaining from harming and injuring other beings' life, and then doing whatever benefits, honors, helps, rescues, reduce their suffering by one's act of kindness or generosity. Whatever one does is specifically to help somebody. A lot of people have some kind of their own little discipline. I will not do this, no matter what. I will do this. Each week, at least I do this much. So they have discipline. So that is also the morality here refers to, that kind of discipline. It has been highlighted in previous, the importance of morality. So here Nagarjuna is summarizing these seven heavenly virtues, morality. And the third one is generosity. Generosity here refers to that one's own possessions or time or energy that you give to the objects of veneration and gratitude and worthy, such as parents and teachers and spiritual and charitable causes, and also giving to those who are just suffer from destitution, sickness, loneliness, and despair, or whatever it is, to ease their pain if one practices generosity. If whatever practice to this form of generosity you do, so that's a generosity. Giving. If a person who practices giving every day, they say they're living every day. And so this is reason because that is even the result of that gives lasting happiness for oneself. So that's the third highest virtue. Fourth, the noble qualities is learning, or this is the study. So here refers to study of Dharma, like this effort that each of you are making by coming away from your work and other duties, putting aside them, listening to these teachings is a great way to upskill yourself and become familiar with certain teachings and concepts of Dharma. Those you know before have become enhanced. Those you haven't learned before, they become clarified. And so it will give you a new set of eyes that you didn't have before listening to Dharma. So this study, learning Dharma is a very good subject to learn. And there are lots of people who go to evening classes, various subjects. They're mainly just, most of them are like hobby-like things. So they can make a little woodwork, or they may mend something, or they can repair the cars, or they're also good, you know. We're not saying they're not, but still much better to repair the human heart, the broken pieces. Broken heart is much better to learn be the mechanic of how to repair the broken heart and life rather than cars. Well, of course, on top of the car repairing, if we can learn to repair the human vehicle would be good. So therefore, learning Dharma. And the fifth one is the stainlessness. This stainlessness is, I think, goes with the to next one. Stainless refers to the purity of one's own way of dealing with things, that one actually will not do things out of because of it. One feel ashamed to do some things. And so the fifth one is feeling shame, the stainlessness of being able to feel shame. One is not thick-skinned, so to speak. One actually have a very sensitive skin that one dare not doing such things. So that's the being able to feel shame and then therefore restrain certain things, or saying things, or doing things, or retaliating things, even if people can do it, but you feel ashamed retaliating your mom or father, or like that, you know, even though they can do it, but you feel more ashamed that you do such a thing. So you have some kind of respect to them, that you feel ashamed that don't do that. This is very important. People think they're all equal, you know. Those who have this high virtue of being able to shame, this is my brother, this is my elder elder brother, or this is my mother, he's older than me, he's more weaker than me. If I do this, it's really shameful. And such things empowers us to restrain. This is referring to that kind of restraint. And self-restraint refers to mainly that one is able to do it. One feels that it actually even doing that embarrasses to yourself and to all those concerned. So these two, and the last one is the wisdom. Wisdom that surpasses all this. So these recognize other common treasures as meaningless. I mean, one who recognizes these seven treasures, who has these, he or she will see the other treasures like gold and silver and all these things, more cause of conflict, more cause of suffering, more cause of past suffering, present worries, future worries, and they are not the wealth worth having. They are burdens. So they are meaningless. They're in many ways they're harmful. They wish you didn't have that. Then you wouldn't have such conflict with your family or others. Whereas if you have these all the above mentioned virtues, they become the very remedier of any kind of problems brought upon by materialistic kind of pursuit. So often, so that's why I recognize other common treasures as meaningless in relative to what we talked before. So therefore, prioritize. Try to gain this inner wealth, inner beauty or inner qualities, inner wealth, rather than seeking materialistic kind of achievements, which actually doesn't give a very lasting benefit. So that is the highlighting the importance of how to possess 7 heavenly virtues, what we have just 7 heavenly virtues, what we have covered. So if you are able to live by such high morals, then you should make sure that these high morals are not degenerated. So therefore, drop 6 very bad habits. 6 bad habits. Even if you have even you study, even you listen to Dharma, even you do have faith in the Buddha and all the rest. But if you are doing this and the following 6, then this will ruin you. So what are they? First is gambling. Gambling ruins not only the person's life, but also family's life, whole thing. Lots of people, the gambling, probably the very thing that they have earned to gamble with is a hard-earned money, inherited, and then wasting that and risking that, and that destroy. Lots of people who have gambling in the family, it destroy the peace in the whole family. So it's more like the craving related, gambling. So even that also means that if you gamble and you win money from gambling and then practice generosity with that, probably has not a lot of merit. So then that's why even the merit talked about giving is not so useful from the money that you earn. Quite a lot of people say, if I win lotto, I'll give you money. People say these things, because lotto is a form of gambling, isn't it? Anyway, so it's good that somebody want to give you, but they can't quite give you just yet. They have to gamble what they have each week first. If they put $7 each week for the cause, it will feed many hundreds of people, They say if you give $13 to the World Vision, they say if you give $13 a month, it will feed a child in third world countries. You don't have to put $7 a week. It's just $13 a month. So instead of gambling, if one give that, it's much more better, There's a lot of people's lives very, very much changed by people like you who give just $13 a month for a World Vision child, as an example, So instead of gambling, thinking that I'll give when I get millions, but in the week by week one is putting that kind of money into the logo club machine. The machine is designed to swallow all the money. So don't gamble. Second is watching crowds, meaning going out, a lot of activities where there's a lot of crowds, looking for fun, or looking for trouble, or looking for this. Usually people meet trouble when they go to where the crowds gathers. So not going. So one should keep away from crowds, and one should not, and laziness. So people have time to do all the things, but they don't have time to study. They don't have time to practice. So the laziness. These are ruiners. People get ruined. They feel depressed because they're doing these things. This is the whole thing. And they waste their money in one afternoon. They lost everything, and then they get depressed. And then they smoke, and then they do all the other things. And relying on evil company, no wonder. These things usually happens because one has a company, one has a friend, he keep calling, and they say, we must catch up. What they do, they end up going there, and then so company, so one should know what kind of company is good for you to meet once a week or whatever it is. What does that company do to you? Are you really helping them, or are they really not helping you? So maybe it's not a good company. Maybe just do the practice once a week with fellow practitioner. That's a good company. So don't rely on evil company. And then, of course, alcoholism or drug. This means many things. Alcoholism is old suffering. People who think their problem can be relaxed by alcoholism, little bit culturally might drink. That's okay. It's people who have no problem with the drinking. It's not called alcoholism. But alcoholism is where people become so addicted from the morning onwards that they keep drinking, and then lots of alcohol-related violence, accident, problems is all clearly. All the teachers, Nagarjuna saw this long time ago. And loitering at night, So the person who usually the alcohol, even it's New South government, now people want to stop people loitering after 1:30 or 3:30 in the morning. They say no one is allowed to serve alcohol after 3 a.m. Gosh, why at 3 a.m.? They shouldn't serve at all. They shouldn't have those licenses given in the first place. This doesn't look like this is the most alcohol-related violence and death and violence is so much, and doesn't occur only in midnight. It occurs in the middle of the day, people because of alcohol. So these are very, very, very important teachings. Loitering at night, abandon these six kind of life-ruining conducts called which cause loss of reputation. Not only it's not just a reputation, but your whole life saving. Your whole life will be destroyed. I'm sure if you see the people whose lives are not in good order, they are suffering, they're angry. It's usually because of this. One of these. Couple of these, usually they go in together. So one should learn to get rid of these 6 very bad habits. So then moves on to next verse, how to remedy these. The teacher of gods and man described contentment. So therefore, because gambling people, they have 2,000 or something, they're not contented with that. They want to make that 4,000, 5,000. So he says, contentment is the greatest riches. So one should be happy what one has and be contented what one has. And if one has that, then remain contented always. There's no craving, no coveting, no need to go to the club, no need to go to have cash. You already have what you have, and you don't need to try to imagine that you're going to get. So therefore, remedy for the gambling and all the above is contentment. And to know contentment is perfect wealth. Contentment is best wealth. And even without material things, you feel happy that you don't have the many things. Because they say people are happy, those who have few things. Those who have many things, they have many problems. And this is highlighted by next verse. It says, "O gentle one," Nagarjuna calls the king, "just as those who own much suffer, those with few desires do not." See that? The people who have few things do not suffer as much. We are not saying people who have poverty and doesn't suffer. We are not saying that. People who have just enough, they don't suffer very much. Great Nagas have many suffering as heads which produce them. So this is talking about Nagas which have a lot of snake hood. That as many heads they have, that many. We call them overhead in the West, isn't it? You have many overheads. That's right. Yeah. Those who have this one, that one, these are overheads. So then they have just as many heads they have that many sufferings. Just like this, that the Naga with a lot of hoods have to suffer so much. People who are contented with the small things what they have, then they're free to do things like this. Otherwise, they're slaving themselves, just working 18 hours. because they got this one, they got this one, they got this one. So they have no time to do any of these other ones. They're slave to that, and there's still no guarantee. So still there's no guarantee. Their worries is as many as their business, their activities, their hopeful incomes. Some incomes coming, the other side is losing. So the more one is spreading to covetously make material wealth, that much suffering one will have. So talking about contentment, just do a reasonable way of supporting yourself, and not become so greedy that you have to spread your wings to become as wealthy as possible. So doing that will be cause of having some contentment. So if you want to have freedom. I know somebody who first come to the West. He first worked under somebody, and then slowly he wanted to buy the business. He bought the business. He became the owner of the business, and later on he doesn't have any time to go anywhere with anybody. He was completely stuck in the restaurant hall, and then he nearly went mad. He actually went mad, And so it's like that. So one has to moderate one's life, and whether it's material demands or whatever it is, one should learn that. So after making all this kind of a measurement to restrain from gambling and so forth, and practicing contentment and so forth, and therefore learn to reduce one's cravings and have contentment with few things, and not spread oneself to do many things of contentment. And then he moves on to next topic, verse number 36. Nagarjuna is giving advice particularly to a layperson here, King Gautamiputra. And of course, this doesn't mean only to a man, or this refers to anybody. Of course, here it specifically talks about three kinds of wife one shouldn't have, what 4 kinds of wife you should have, in these 2 verses 36 and 37. A wife who, like an executioner, associate naturally with enemies, who like a queen scorns her mate, who like a thief takes even small things. Avoid these 3 types of wife. It's talking about partner, or one's husband or wife or anyone in one's life. Of course, this is more like a very worldly advice. Of course, it seems like the Nagarjuna is giving advice to the king, so that one should not fall under the influence of such kind of controlling partners who are always doing harmful things to you, like someone who's an executioner over you. People find their life is completely traumatized under someone's domination. Of course, nobody would like to live with someone who is treating oneself like that as being subordinated, or someone who scorns you, or puts you down, or steals things from you. Of course, nobody will. But of course, Mahayana point of view, these kind of teachings would be, of course, a practitioner who is stuck in a relationship like that. Doesn't mean they should necessarily, escape from them or reject them. But of course, one should find a way. That there are teachings that that you should work with beings who, whatever they are, work your karma way, but as generous and tolerant as possible, rather than seeing it is the type of husband that or wife that is like this. I will not have anything to do with it. Of course, this is a fairly teaching on the level that it is explicit here, but I think people don't need to take this literally and think they should walk away. But people should still try to find higher level of teaching to practice tolerance. Often the kind of partner that one has is one's karma. So one needs to, if one is tolerant, even if there are any one of like this, it might burn away a lot of karmas. Of course, most people would opt the easy option of escaping, escaping rather than putting up with that, even without Nagarjuna's advice. Even without Nagarjuna advice, people say, she's like that, he's like that. But what is most people problem is not that they're not doing this, but they're doing too much of this. So how can we work with these people rather than run away from that? So that of course here that advice can be taken on that level. He says that, however, it's possible that someone is exactly opposite. A wife who is like a sister, is harmonious, always who is willing to put your views and thoughts before hers and respect yours. So harmonious, always supports you, always give way to you, because of her sisterliness. Or like who's a friend dear to your heart, who really loves you, and who doesn't take advantage of you but only puts your well-being before you, or like a mother who wishes to your benefit. She only wants you to. So, or like a servant who obeys should be honored as a family god. So this talking about, these two verses are very contrasting, isn't it? Some people may be blessed to have one of the four as one's partner in one's life. Of course, one should not take advantage of that, thinking that I'm so lucky. My wife is like a sister type of thing. But of course, one still have to make sure that one should think, oh, this is a really good karma that I have contracted to have such a partner, and then rejoice them. And then not take advantage of them, not think that one is so blessed, and then oneself become enslaved by this indulgence. But still means, what does this mean? Some people don't grow in comfort, because they have such a wonderful partner. They don't grow spiritually. Some people have terrible, life partners, and as a result of that, discover spirituality. So we can't say one is the better than the other. Buddha didn't have problem with his father and mother. He just decided to be difficult to them so that he can go and do his dharma thing. Others are actually having to face these things and then look for a savior and then discover dharma. But those who are completely spoiled with all everybody looks after them well, and then they may never discover dharma. That's the whole thing. So these advices that Nagarjuna is giving to the king Gautamiputra must be treated at the level that the king Gautamiputra must have been. I'm sure we are a little bit higher than this. Not higher, but we need to tailor this teaching differently. Some people's all the harmony at home might be good, materially speaking, but the spiritually speaking, they don't discover any dharma in great comfort. So even if there are some imperfection in family life, one should see that this is through the dharma I'm able to work with them a little bit more kindly, and then so therefore they're actually forcing us to meet dharma. So one shouldn't think that difficult people in our life should be like run away from them as their executioner. But maybe they are there to kill your ego. Maybe your ego will never give in unless you have such people, some karma, that you love them so much, even though they treat you like that. Is it because you are learning to be tolerant and patient, and you're learning that as a good journey? Then, of course, we are not taking these teachings literally, but also actually saying, even I have such a difficult person in my life, but I might be just as difficult to them if you ask them. So what qualifies me to say I have such a terrible partner, I have to leave her, type of thing? Most people tell the story as they're the one who nearly have to escape, as the other one hasn't have any complaints about. us who is escaping them. Life isn't quite like that. It's got two sides of the story, you know. So you can say you can have a control freak husband, you know, exactly the opposite. So if this letter was written by a woman to a queen, I think it would be different. So you just think of that. So because it's written by Nagarjuna to his friend who is a man and a king, he uses this. So it's one thing is too easy to say what kind of partner should be rejected. Another thing, what kind of partner should be accepted. You know, people are doing that all the time. You know, they think that they don't want it anymore. You know, so. But they need to grow up now. In 21st century, people need to grow up. Maybe this difficult person in our life, and we are to them, has a lot of karma to work through this. And maybe therefore both are forced to meet the Dharma and discover Dharma, and then still not rejecting them as the executioner, but rather try to see that they actually have a lot of karma that I left unfinished last time. So I need to work with them. So that is a really good way of looking at it. So we need to take the teaching on the level that makes a lot of sense to us, because it's interpretable. And so up to those verses were mainly to the king. Now, from this verse number 38 onwards is for both laymen and as well as ordained, for both. Particularly, not just for this life, should run away from this, you shouldn't have this kind of people in your life, not that kind of, but rather for causes of gaining higher kind of attainment of definite goodness, they call it. And so there are common and quite a lot of common advices to subject to meditation. And so now it refers to advice with regard to how to take food. Take food properly like a medicine, without desire or hatred, not for pride, robustness, or beauty, but only to sustain the body. So this is talking about whether one is a layman or a monk or an ordained person. This is advice for everyone. There's a lot of food-related sufferings. People are overeating, people are undereating, people become so specific as their suffering comes from food they didn't get or food they are eating too much. It's not so much though. Take food properly like a medicine. Food is a medicine for hunger, and it is mainly to alleviate the suffering of hunger and to sustain the body. So anything then if you're eating out of excessive desire because of your status, you know, because you think your status or whatever it is. If one's motivation of eating the food is either of this cardinal affliction like desire or hatred, or for pride, you know, I only eat this kind of food because I'm such and such class person. Oh, I only have breakfast in Hyatt. No, I don't go to the local ones. Oh, meet me in Hyatt as usual. That kind of people. You know? who are eating not because they think important where. You see what I mean? Those are people who wouldn't go to certain. In Australia, all the restaurants are pretty good. So actually, there are a lot of nice suburban restaurants. Doesn't necessarily. So some people eat basically for pride and status, you know, or just to make them build the body so they look good, you know. So it's all about building the body and appearance. So if one is eating food for that, and for good, some people eat for the skin or something. I don't know whether. If one's whole attention is for physical desire and attachment and pride and looks and appearances, then one definitely is not eating the food with the right attitude. But instead, one should eat the food simply to sustain the body, to serve sentient beings, to practice Dharma. So therefore, be moderate in qualities and quantities, and not eating for the wrong reasons. Of course, it doesn't mean you shouldn't eat healthy food, whatever is good for the body, but not just for the trying to hide your vulnerable old age or whatever it is. Just eat food with not only moderation, but with that attitude. And actually, this is one of the verse they recite after saying grace. They actually say this verse to remind people before they say, I shall eat the food to sustain my body, not attached to looks and appearance and so on. So that's mainly advice in relation to food. So that not only here talking about attitude, but also it also implies the amount also, because people eat too much that is unnecessary, then they get sick. Indigestion. So overeating and eating the wrong side, wrong kind, eating too much, and so on. People, and they are so concerned about their appearance, they wouldn't eat at all. They're so worried. So this whole kind of epidemic to quite a lot of people, because they're so concerned about their looks, and so they are starving themselves basically. So one should sustain the body. This body is an important machine to practice Dharma with and in. But if one is not looking after the body very well, Buddha himself experienced extreme mortification, and he therefore propagated the middle way. So this is talking about the moderation of food. And then next one is that how a practitioner should time their time of meditation, so that occupy yourself with the essence of knowledge during the whole day. Meaning during the day you should always mindful about the teachings and the Dharma. No matter what you're doing, your work or life or study, you do those. But even then, you should still always bring into your attention the essence of the knowledge of the Dharma. Don't forget that. And then in the nighttime, it says that the first and the last period of the night, meaning that early in the night and early in the morning, So late at the end of the night, early in the morning, one should contemplate mindfully. One should meditate. Well, you should do your practices those two periods mindfully until even your period of sleep is not fruitless. So that then it means that if you practice like at the beginning of the night and the end of the night, which is early morning, then you will go to sleep mindfully, and you should use the sleeping yoga. So this implies that you should sleep in the right side and not too late, and go to bed on time, not stay up late, and with the intent to rise up early morning, and then with the intention to sleep in the right attitudes, that in order to give rest to the body, I'm going to sleep, and then not have this lot of discursive negative thoughts about the day. If there are any, confess them. If there are a lot of good things that your day has encountered, which usually is the case actually, you should rejoice them, dedicate them, thank everyone. We wish everybody good well, and thank everybody, and dedicate the merits of your day. And then if there is something bothering you, or something you did that wasn't right, or something somebody did that you didn't take well, don't seethe on it, but just pardon them, forgive them, do some prayers, and confess. If you did something, confess yourself. And after having done that, this is why the meditation before going to bed is good. So reflecting, contemplate, and then don't go to bed with that kind of brooding feeling and thoughts. But instead, if you did this, rejoice the good deeds, rededicate all, confess and pardon everybody, do the confession prayers if you have, then when you go to sleep, even sleep will be not fruitless, but will be meaningful. Otherwise, sleep is considered to be lost. People wish they don't have to sleep so many hours. They need sleep, In sleep, we don't harm anybody. So it must be pretty good, Also, nobody gets to harm us also in sleep. They can't find us in sleep. Maybe they're after us, but they can't find us anyway on our feet, so they can't find us. So it's very safe practice. So sleep is very, very harmless. It's fruitful, particularly if you go with that attitude before going to bed. Yeah, so that is Nagarjuna is covering a lot of grounds here. Now he goes to move to the actual meditation. Because remember, this is we are talking about the fourth chapter. Fourth chapter is actually talking on the fourth perfection, on meditation. This is subject is meditation. So then constantly meditate on loving kindness. Now this is talking about meditation on four immeasurables. And of course here the word immeasurable is not used. Because remember, this is mainly like a teaching that is suited to the common people of common mentality, average mentality. So therefore, it's like these four that are taught here. Constantly meditate upon loving kindness. This loving kindness is wishing others to have happiness and a cause of happiness. And so you start that, because if we have this goodwill towards some loving kindness to somebody, we always wish them well and have the causes of happiness. Not just with one or two people, but try to spread this sentiment towards others who may be angry at you, but still wish them loving kindness. And they don't regard them as enemy or harmful, but it's too bad they are suffering due to you. So therefore you wish them well and try to do things. So from your heart you must meditate. How can I make him happy? What can I do to him? What can I think for him? What I can do that will change him, that will make him happy? So that kind of scheming, just trying to make somebody happy, and then generating this warm affection and love and kindness towards somebody. If somebody knew that you were really kindly thinking of them, speaking about them, they will be happy. If somebody really speaks and thinks kindly about you, you feel loved, don't you? People say, "I'm thinking of you." You feel happy. I mean, what are they thinking about you? They haven't told you anything they were thinking of you, but you straight away thought it was loving kindness. It's amazing. So it's just a thought. Just a thought. Sentiment for somebody's well-being makes us happy. So it's just training, meditating means just Buddhism is just training how people to practice love. Not the attachment, not possessiveness, not try to control somebody and then criticize them when they don't do as you want for our benefit. That is not love. That is complete attachment and craving and possession. Some people justify being angry at someone because they didn't get what they want from you. That's not love at all. They think that's love. How could that be? That kind of love is the cause of suffering. That is not love. That's possessiveness. That's attachment. So here one actually meditates on loving kindness, like a mother wishes, always can't think of but of her loved ones. Where is my son? Where is my daughter? Is she going okay today? What did she do? Did she go to class today? Did she go to work today? Or did she return home okay? Oh, good. Did you get home, my dear, home? Yes, safe, good. Oh, good. Go to bed on time, okay? All this is amazing. These are the loving feeling, They still have some attachment. They are not above attachment, but usually Buddhist teaching says mother's kindness is the best example of extending that to anybody else, whether inner circle or those who are outer circle or those who are the circle which wouldn't include some people. We should extend loving kindness to as far as neutral person as well as people we have difficulty with. So constantly meditate upon loving kindness. Not just when you're sitting and when you're walking, because you can't be sitting constantly. So constant means not only when you're sitting and praying and reciting Om Mani Padme Hum or counting me, even when you're driving, just loving kindness. Just drive with loving kindness. Get up with loving kindness. Take shower with loving kindness. This is talking about constantly meditate on loving kindness and constantly practice compassion. So this is the second one, practice compassion. Compassion is try to free somebody suffering and their causes. Just when you know somebody's suffering, you quickly get out of your comfort zone and go out in the cold or early, wet or dry. You go, never mind the suffering, but try to make sure they are out of the cold, they are out of the wood, so they are rescued from suffering from hypothermia, whatever it is. You doing that. These are the act of compassion in play. Act of compassion, real time. You actually go and try to rescue someone from cold and give you a blanket and bring them, carry them on your back, or bring them somewhere where their immediate suffering is allayed. That is true act of compassion. So constantly compassion means, meditate on compassion constantly means we should always find what can we do to make a difference to somebody's suffering, that it is reduced, that it is decreased, that it is interrupted, that they didn't have to stay long in that dark, cold in that place, poor in that state, sad in that. And whatever we can do, that is what it's talking about compassion constantly. So these two are loving kindness, compassion. Third one is joy. Joyfulness is that joyfulness is, and a cause of joyfulness is only if one practices those 7 virtues, 7 heavenly virtues, then one will have joy. Those who have faith, they're happy. Their joy will not diminish. Their faith in the teachings is sufficient. They don't have to have faith with people. So some people have faith in people, and then they lose faith, they get devastated. Because it never said in the teaching to have faith in people. It said faith in the triple gem and the law of karma. Those who have faith in the law of karma and faith, even your friend put you down or turn their back to you, but you wouldn't be devastated. You will see, this must be my karma, I must have done this to them. I'm sure I have, otherwise I wouldn't be experiencing this. Oh, I have faith in this law of karma thing. See, that'll really make you joy, even when you find a difficult time, but you actually are much more in a better position to think like that. You have this ability to think like that. You're fit to think like that. That is because you have the 7 heavenly virtues. That is the joy. The true joy, cause of joy is these 7, what I was just talking before in the verse early in the evening. So joy not coming from other people's respect to you, other people's kindness to you, other people's faith to you. These are not cause of joy. These are cause of self-entrapment. These are samsaric, concern. These are worldly dharmas. Worldly dharma are not cause of happiness. Cause of happiness, joy, this is talking about joyful, joy and the cause of joy, is if you practice these virtues, which was spelled out very clearly in the first verse number 32, by the way. Just go to verse number 32. If you practice these things yourself, then nothing can push you to suffer. It is suffering proof. Joyfulness is suffering proof. How could otherwise you be joyful when everybody's suffering? It's not that you are laughing while everybody's miserable. That's not the joy. Even those people are suffering around you, but it doesn't sort of demoralize you. It doesn't make you feel overwhelmed from helping them. You still will do what you can without being drained by their sufferings. That is those who have joyfulness. It's a very high, lofty qualities you have. So in meditation, some people actually feel, sessionally, they feel so high, joyful. They couldn't believe they have that much faith in the triple gem or the dharma or the sangha or the teaching. They didn't believe, but they feel so physically very rapturous. They feel physically very rapturous, mentally feel very light, and you can actually sessionally feel joyful. The Buddhist teachings in general, particularly Tibetan Buddhist teaching, emphasize to meditate on precious human rebirth. If you have precious human rebirth and you recognize that, because you heard the teachings on precious human rebirth, that's the listening, that's the learning we're talking about. If you really heard that and you really realize that and you really acknowledge that precious human, you wouldn't believe that difficulties in life doesn't dent you, but instead, joyfully you still will do whatever you can. You will not be dented and overwhelmed by the suffering around you. That's what the joyfulness is referring to, joy. It means you don't get depressed and sad about what you couldn't do. What you couldn't do, you wouldn't dwell on it. What you could do, you'll focus on it. Simple as that. It's very, 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 very clear-sighted. It's not worrying so much what you couldn't do. Joyful people don't do that. And what you could do, you will do without any time wasted. Because they got the merit. Joy is a merit, because it has to have those qualities to stay in that spirit, that is not denchable, that is not sort of that cannot lose its status of the joyfulness. And then it says the equanimity. Equanimity is the fourth one. Equanimity is higher than any of the three. Equanimity is where you don't have attachment even to those things you really are close to, like, and nor you have any aversion even to some beings. You don't have so partiality. All suffering comes from partiality. We are too partial for or partial against. Impartiality is almost like a state of equanimous compassion. Like it's like a indifference to you. Not because you don't care one and care others. You care all, but you know how much you can't do, and don't worry about it. You know what you can do, you do it. Sometimes equanimity is the best thing you can do. Just for the sake of not spoiling the loved ones, or for the sake of not even punish the people who are harmful to you. You can see the futility of putting too much on either of the scale, because it will go like this if you put one too much here. You can see your attachment to someone is causing more harm than it benefits them and us. So therefore, one practice equanimity towards that. And even if somebody is really, really, really like that, barking at you always, still have some equanimity towards them, because it's one person's barking is enough, doesn't need two. So then you see that, poor person, may their karma get exhausted by doing this, and may I not add any fuel to the burning fire. So the equanimity teaches us tolerance. So equanimity, so these four, they say meditate constantly. We should try to remember these four. Loving kindness, joy, compassion, joyfulness, equanimity. What they call here in this language, they don't call four immeasurables. It says, even though the highest goal may not be reached, meaning through these four you can reach highest goal as far as enlightenment is concerned. He says, even if you cannot be reached because of the level, the happiness of the Brahma realm will be attained. So that's why I call these four Brahmaviharas. That's you can reach the stage of the four, like the Brahma is the God that is pure mind. If you have love to sentient beings, it just totally take away your hate, worry, anxiety, enmity. All of those will be removed from your vocabulary. You don't know how to feel enmity. Like if you reach Brahmahood, you don't have enmity. People practice that dharma in everyday life. They just will. They will see they're still samsaric in the sense they feel somebody is not really happy with you, but they don't have any enmity to it. It's through this kind of sentient beings I can practice compassion. I must not develop enmity, but instead loving kindness. So you have to always see not this, instead this. But if you don't feel nothing, you can't practice loving kindness. You develop loving kindness because you feel that sentient beings are seeking happiness and they're not happy with you. So if they're not happy with you, so then you have to try to see, what can I do concession? What can I compromise to make them happy? If they're going to be happy with that, you can give that. If you're not going to, you can see some parents do that. Kids was really demanding, they do this, and then the mother gave up everything. She's got nothing left. and finally maybe the kid is happy, Of course, here we're talking about how best we can constantly practice loving kindness. So these are the four main meditations. For people to reach the four samadhis, four concentration meditation, which is next verse, is actually reached by doing this practice, by doing these four immeasurables. It's not called four immeasurable, in this case, four Brahmaviharas. Happiness of the Brahma world will be attained. It's talking about the benefits or the merit of doing this meditation. loving kindness meditation, compassion meditation, joyfulness meditation, equanimity meditation. It simply means you should sit and then bring the thought of loving kindness, loving kindness, loving kindness. To whom? But think of the person. Think of the person. Imagine them right in front of you. Because you love them or because someone is neglected. Just think of all the neglected children like that. And loving kindness. And then those people who are hating each other, just think of those. Those people who are not happy with you, just think of loving kindness, loving kindness. Don't just push aside, they hate you, you don't want loving kindness. Even with those, just bring them, Just put into your little closure. Because it's nice to have in the closure. They feel included, Even they don't like you, just put inside your closure. Bring them a little closer and in your mind. Then say loving kindness and generate those thoughts. Constantly meditate on loving kindness, loving kindness. We say, Om Mani Padme. It's just a reminder to cultivate these four, We do this like on the Wednesday night, we chant the Om Mani Padme Hum. We do the practice here about good hour or so. And that's what exactly we do, so that we can be reminded to practice loving kindness, reminded to practice compassion. And you will sleep very well. If you practice these meditations before go to sleep, compassion, joy, equanimity. So it says that if by doing this meditation, the result will be, next verse, the four dhyanas. Four dhyana meaning, this is four meditative absorptions. The four meditative absorptions, thoroughly renouncing sensory pleasure. This is talking about the mindset of the person who has transcended it, who have actually put his thought in practicing loving kindness and so on meditation. The result of that, their mind will be not so stuck on seeking sensory pleasures. So they will renounce the seeking sensory pleasures. Instead, they will endure sufferings. So endure sufferings and joy, because the mind will be not seeking joy for oneself. Joy for oneself. But still, one cannot escape the joyfulness and happiness. And when one who is renouncing the ordinary sensory pleasure, ordinary joy, happiness, and freedom from suffering, one will renounce all of this. There is no craving, no need to renounce these sufferings. Why? Because one has reached the dhyanic meditative absorption. In the four meditative absorptions, it says, is equal to the attainment of Brahma. The Brahma is the name of the God, who is the highest God of this world, desire realm God. By the way, this is still desire realm God. Then when it reaches beyond the desire realm God, then it is in the form realm God. Then you are able to experience higher level, and then slowly it goes to the four dhyanic meditations, and that are equitable, that are equal to the level of the four Brahmas, the clear light, pervading virtue, and the great result. These are four names of the four Brahmas, four dhyanic meditative absorptions. So the result of when we say the four Brahmaviras, usually we say these are the four Brahmaviras, because this is a state of the vihara, means status in which they dwell. So that your mental space will not be encroached by enmity, by cruelty, by sadness, and by attachment and aversion, because these are opposite of the four Brahmaviras. So if you have loving kindness, how could you develop any enmity? If you have compassion, how could you develop any aggression? If you have joyfulness, how could you develop any sadness? If you have equanimity, how could you develop any attachment to some and aversion another? You won't. So therefore, it's a very blissful meditative state that one can gain. This is now, as I mentioned before, when a person abstains from all those gambling and so on, and practice the 7 heavenly virtues, and learn to moderate their food, and take time to practice the wee hours of the night or morning and do the meditation on those four immeasurables, they will free from the rebirth in such a lower realms as humans and animals and so forth. But instead, they will be able to enjoy the status of the Brahma, the four Brahmas, concentrated meditation. Concentrated meditation. So then, next verse goes to talking about the difference between the lightness and heaviness of the virtues or non-virtues. Verse number 42. It goes to talk about 42 says great virtue and non-virtue arise from five. So this is talking about the intent and the application. See, when you're talking about, for instance, constancy, sometimes your intention, such as great virtue, if you have intention to be kind to somebody, for instance, is not only there, but it is not able to stay continuously. It is interrupting, It sometimes comes, sometimes you just slip out of it, no time. So constancy, meaning the great virtuous mentality is constancy. You don't have to, it doesn't have to have bad, difficult situation that can rob it. Even bad difficulties there. Still your kindness is uninterrupted, constantly there. It's even more. Your compassion is even greater because there. So therefore it's talking about the constancy or what we call non-virtue. Sometimes people who are not in those levels, their anger is constant. They even cannot forget anger in dream. They're still angry about that. So here, those who have reached the four stages of Brahma, as talking about, in the verse number 42, it says, those who have reached this level, the qualities they have, such as what we're talking about, quality of base of good qualities, base of kindness, they refer to that, the intention versus application, and whether any intention and application, because whether intention might be constant, but is the application constant? Yeah? So sometimes the negative thoughts or whatever towards which one we're leaning onto, there's intention is still clinging, but it is accompanied with a remedy or lack of remedy, So you can see sometimes this virtue is weak or strong can be indicated by not only what virtue you have, how constant they are, not only in intention, but also in application. But even when during the application it may degenerate a little bit, do you have a quick remedy or not? Now, if you have a remedy quickly, without falling into the trap of losing the status, of course, then your very foundation of kindness, very basis of other qualities are not diminishing. Thus strive to perform virtue. So instead of having constant clinging and lack of remedy of the non-virtues, but one should have actually the constant virtue that is not only virtues in intent, but also intent of compassion, kindness, and also with action, that thing that you output, the intention, not only constant in intention, but also in application, in execution of it. Also, it is constant. But when it meets up with some obstacles, do you find the remedy straight away, or do you find lack of the remedy? So these could clearly indicate whether your virtue is light or strong, or your non-virtue is light or strong. When the non-virtue is strong, it may be constant, and you don't have a remedy. But when your virtue is strong, it is not only constant, but even when it meets with difficulties, it still withstands that. So through this, you can clearly distinguish the lightness or heaviness of the virtue or non-virtue as a practitioner. So one should learn to strive to not only have a intention, but also intention that is intention that also is not only its content during intention, but even during application, the intention is still contained. So you haven't lost the intention in the. But even when the intention is about to lose, you are readily able to remedy that. So therefore, it has the base, what you call the base of the good qualities of constancy and remedy, not constancy of weakness, clinging to the weakness, and lack of remedy. So that, if that's the case, it will be due to the heaviness of the negativity would outweigh oneself. So these various, what we call base of the good qualities, base of good quality, for instance, it's talking about the faith in the triple gem. Yeah, so if your base is very stable, if your base is very good and very stable, and not only intent, but faith in the triple gem, for instance, is not unconstant. It is not interrupted, but constant. Not only during intention, but also during application. Yeah? But when there are times in your life that you're doubting about the triple gem thing, about the Buddhist thing, you know, and it's quite easy for people to drop the idea of continuing. But did you find a remedy to prevent that from occurring, or did you have no remedy whatsoever? So that can also show how you are featuring in your practice of Dharma. So it's not necessarily plain sailing is good, but even when you really test it in difficult time, did you find a remedy that really rescued you? You know, maybe the qualities that in you were not constant, but when the problem met, you found a remedy. So people don't have to apply the remedy. Might seem they are constant. Their virtue is constant. They are consistently practicing. They don't have to apply any remedy. So people don't want to think they have to practice remedy, because their practice should be smooth sailing. So actually, there is not only presence of remedy, but effective application of the remedy. Then you should therefore strive to the application of the effective remedy. When you can apply the remedy very, very effectively, you can see the decrease of the actual problem through your practice, and therefore. You must strive to abandon the constancy and clinging and the lack of remedy of negative karma, but instead you should be able to practice the virtue not only constant in intention but also constant in application, and you're not satisfied with the smallness of your virtue, but you wanted to increase the quality and the strength of that, and so it does not intimidate you or frighten you. That courage still remains strong. Instead of being frightened by such things, you are able to maintain that. So in order that you do not get frightened by difficulties, it says, next verse, a small measure of salt can change the taste of a little water, but not that of the river Ganges. You know, understand the similarity of a small evil act in comparison to a large root of virtue. So this means that when you are doing whatever you can, you might still have the kind of salty experience of difficulties of life, yeah? You get corroded by some difficulties. And do not let the small taste of that difficulty to corrode the rest of the water of your life, which means that you shouldn't idealize, I should be completely free from all obstacles, that this person should be completely free from all obstacles, and then idealizing that. But people who are on the path should still put up with such salty patch of their life and not let the whole taste of your life to be taken up by the small salt. Because if you're Ganges, you wouldn't be too salty. It's only the small pond may be salty, but you should think of it like a Ganges. Yeah, your life has a long way to cover the ground. So do not let small things to take up What means what they say is that do not let that small issues destroy the big picture. That's what it's talking, really. Here he uses the salt, salt analogy. That means even though non-virtues, the seed of the non-virtue may be small, if your virtue is just as small, then it may completely override, yeah? So therefore, you must be like a broad, like a river Ganges. Not be a small water that easily could be, change its taste by a small amount of salt. So when you are broad and vast in your thoughts and wish and intent and action, and then you will not be subjected to be ruined by the small salt, small difficulties. So put up with. So don't be intimidated. Don't think that life should be ideal and free of all problems, and then when a small problem comes, you quickly jump and react, and you make the whole Ganges to be dirty by the little thing. So it's talking about reactions, so don't be intimidated by these things, and put up with these things, and learn to stay strong. How? Because next verse is going to talk about how to overcome the actual impediments in the meditation. They talk about 5 impediments. How to give up 5 impediments. 5 impediments here. What are the 5 impediments? So agitation and regret, ill will, sloth and sleepiness, desire and doubt. Beware of these 5 obscurations, as thieves who steal the wealth of virtue. So of course, this is primarily talking about meditation, These are 5 impediments in the meditation, formal meditation, as well as in everyday to-day awareness. If you have any of these 5, really try to take center stage of your mind, such as agitation. You get really, really annoyed. You get irritable. You get erratic. You're so impatient. And that's a sign of agitation. So if you have that, this agitation is robbing. It is basically robbing your mind. Your mind could not see good in things, and you get agitated by wanting one, not getting that, and therefore you get agitated, impatient, and so agitation is in the meditation people can't focus their concentration. And regret is that some unskillful deeds of the past that one may have unconsciously committed, over which every time one think about it, one feels so guilty, one feels unworthy, feels sad and despairing that. So that will be, of course, very big obstacles. Of course, regret is often an obstacle for faith. People can't have faith. They are incapable to have faith in everything. They can't love again, for instance. They don't have faith in anymore because they lost one, because they misplaced the faith in people, deluded people. And they think they can't have faith anymore in Dharma. That's kind of thing, really. So, therefore, the teaching always says, don't, put faith in people, but in Dharma. Once people put faith in Dharma, then they will not have regret. Because faith in Dharma is law of cause and effect. It's not trying to predict the outcome with certainty. Faith is not an outcome predictor. It is what you face, whatever consequences you have, you might face. So it's not certitude or placing some kind of hope in certainty that materialist people think, you should have never done that, I have faith in you, type of thing. They don't realize that everything is impermanent. To have faith in permanence is not a faith. It's blind faith. So here, when it talks about the problem of regret, when a person is feeling bad about something happened or something they didn't do in the past, and they're really brooding that in their mind, and there's so much resenting, the regret and resentment goes together. So one should recognize these obstacles: agitation, regret, and then ill will. the ill will is that about over a small issue, or maybe it's a relatively big issue, but always thinking that's the end of everything, and cannot go beyond that, but still feel let down, hurt, deceived, whatever it is, or betrayed, or whatever it is. You use any words, and they make sense when one has ill will. But one who has goodwill, none of these seems justifiable reason to feel like brooding ill will. So one who meditates must see that if you become visited by agitation, regret, and ill will, these are the impediment of meditation. These are the biggest obstacles. Remember, before they're talking about the obstacles of people or the noise and wanting praise and don't want people to disparage you and so forth. Now, meditator is really in the cave, When you really do meditation, when you're really starting to gain some kind of contentment and fewness of desires and so forth, then you start having this sharp, like a burning sensation of agitated by something or regret over something. Looks like everything is pardonable, but not this one type of regret. And the ill will. Look like there's too much to forgive this. I will no way to forgive this, and therefore one decide to stay angry. That's ill will. That's basically ill will. And then so these are the different kind of negative impediments: agitation, regret, and ill will. Then sloth and sleepiness is counted as one, because when they talk about the five obscures, so sloth and sleepiness goes together, like dullness and sleepiness. Sloth and torpor in some literatures, whereby one feels so heavy and lethargic and feel very dense and tense in the mind and the body, and that there is no lightness, there is no energy, that it seems too heavy to lift one's body and the mind to do. And only thing one can do is sleep. So that's more ignorance related. And then the desire. The desiring something, desiring some fond objects of sensory pleasures. One could not focus the meditation. Now this is not just one or two people have these. Every meditator have this obstacle, so you shouldn't think, oh, that's me, oh gosh, unlike him. Everybody have these five impediments. It wouldn't be practitioner unless you have these. Nagarjuna write this not because he saw in text, but he experienced this, no doubt. So one mustn't feel guilty that one has obstacles. When you meditate, you discover the type of obstacles that meditation brings up, yeah? And these are not unique a kind of frailty of us as individuals. This is just the unique nature of every sentient being has karma and affliction. These are to do with the cardinal afflictions. What else is there but cardinal affliction manifesting in sloth and sleepiness is ignorance, and in agitation, regret, and ill will is all hatred, and desire is attachment. Desire. One can't switch off the mind of some desirable sense objects, whether to look, whether to smell or taste, touch, or eat or drink. A lot of people in retreat, they just miss food. They miss certain food, they miss certain warm water or whatever. They just cannot meditate anymore because that is the main obstacle in being able to conquer. So desire is referred to. Yeah, they miss people. The missing people actually is desire. It's not, when one is with the person, one doesn't want the person. So it's not the person's presence that's going to add to the happiness, isn't it? So when one is not with the person, one misses the person. When one is with the person, one desire he's not there. See, it's a desire altogether. A good old desire operating constantly and sabotaging your meditation. So that time, one developed the antidote. Of course, antidote for these are, of course, here. Of course, it doesn't say the antidotes for the agitation. It is mind introspection. Introspection is antidote for agitation. You got to inspect, examine, and analytically why I'm agitated. Is it because of my mind, or is it because of this thing I don't have? Or because the sun is shining, or wind is blowing, or the weather is too cold? What is it, So one has always an object to which one is agitated to or by. And so introspection examines the dependent origination of the agitation. Because agitated person doesn't think it's interdependent originated. He thinks it's because it's cold. He doesn't analyze, he doesn't reason. He's not conscious. So you need to analyze. Regret is in many ways a possibility of reversing to faith, confession. The antidote for regret is confession. That's why you need to do confession, even in the retreat. Pardon, forgiveness. Ill will, loving kindness. One has to practice loving kindness. As sloth and sleepiness, meditate on death and impermanence. You have no time to feel sleeping. You will definitely sleep for good one day. Don't you worry. But this is not time to laze around and just sleep. So one meditate on impermanence. And for antidote for desire is renunciation. One sees the thing one is desiring is actually not the thing that's going to satisfy us. It's actually the very thing is not really desirable. If you really think about it, it is impermanent, it is ruinous, it is not what it looks, it is hollow and empty, and it is made up of many things that is actually undesirable. When you start thinking that, then you develop kind of a revulsion towards the objects, as it was covered in one of the verses, that one should think, if one is desiring people, one should think of the person as a bag of 36 impurities with 9 holes. I mean, and so each hole is oozing those all different impurities. So what was so desirable about that? Or whatever, how many food you want to eat. You ate so much food until now, but still you want to eat. How many? You probably feel disgusted with food, but yet you really want that. So you try to use an analytical mind to remedy the desire. And doubt is faith in the law of cause and effect. Doubt is that as if one knows everything. People who doubt are usually, they think they are some genius. They're too intelligent to have faith in Dharma. They're too intelligible person to be practicing Buddhism. Or religion, generally speaking. If Buddhism is religion, they will not practice. If Buddhism is Buddhism, they'll practice. See? It's because they got so much arrogance. Doubt is mainly caused by arrogance. Arrogance. Of course, arrogance is not a non-subject. It's everybody has arrogance. So be aware of these obscurations, 5 impediments, as thieves who steal the wealth of virtue. So do not let yourself be vulnerable to these 5, but learn to moderate and apply the remedies. This is what Nagarjuna is saying. This is mainly for a person to do the actual meditation. And then, so that actually concludes the subject of the 4th paramita of meditation. Now, next one we will start here. Now, in order to attain definite goodness, which is actually liberation, one should now persevere to follow on the path of the path of preparation. Up till now is all path of accumulation or merit. So on the path of preparation, you have to develop 5 strength and 5 powers. The 2 sets of 5. They're both same number. He says earnestly. So this is where it begins the actual perfection of wisdom. Perfection of wisdom teaching starts from this verse number 45. This is according to Mipham's outline. Mipham is a famous 18th century, maybe late 18th century Nyingma teacher. He's considered to be the most greatest scholar that has come to Tibet in the later part of the Tibetan Buddhist history. Of course, there were a lot of great others who came prior to him, like Sakya Pandita in the early 13th century, and Tsongkhapa in the early late 14th century. But in 18th century, the Mipam is considered to be the greatest. Since then, I don't think there were anybody who can match him. In his commentary outline, so I'm using his outline, not because there are no other outlines, but he uses the Nagarjuna's letter under the 6 paramitas. So according to him, this is the verse number 45 is where it begins the perfection wisdom. It's the 6th chapter, 6th perfection rather. Earnestly perform the 5 excellent dharmas. This is what I mean. The 5 excellent dharmas here. 5 excellent dharma he is referring to. Because what we have discussed so far is what you have all these 5 obstacles, 5 impediments. Now, in order to combat these 5 obstacles, if you apply all these things we discussed, such as agitation with introspection and doubt with faith and so on, then you will be able to attain these 5 strength and 5 powers. Earnestly perform the 5 excellent dharmas. These 5 excellent dharmas are 2 sets of 5. 5 excellent dharma for strength, 5 excellent dharma for powers. And both these 5s are, first is the faith. Now, this faith refers to faith in the 4 noble truths. Faith in the truths of the Dharma, not just the first 2 truths, noble truth of suffering and noble truth of origin, because up till that, taken care by the topics covered by that, and then faith in the truth of cessation and the truth of path. In order to yield the truth of cessation, you need to follow the truth of path. Now, those who don't have these 5 powers and 5 strength, they will be relapse. They will collapse, basically. They fall back. So therefore, this path of reaching to the perfection of wisdom is a very important demarcation, whether you have these 5 excellent dharmas or not. These 5 excellent dharma, first is the faith in the law of 4 noble truths, and then second is the diligence. Diligence is that because you have faith in the law and truth of cessation and truth of path, you will now embark on the truth of the path. When you engage in the path, you will meet up with all the obstacles, and then instead of being dented and demoralized by the obstacles, you find more joyous effort. So that's not only faith followed by joyous effort. Some people who have faith, but their faith is followed by lack of faith and no joy, complete sadness and depression. They don't want to pick up their practices anymore because they lost it. That's because they didn't have joyous effort. So the second one is joyous effort. Joyous effort in the truthfulness of the law of truthfulness of truth of cessation and truth of path, truth of path and truth of cessation, and then a mindfulness to not to forget that, mindfulness to not forget the truthfulness of the noble truths. That's mindfulness refers to not forgetting the power. This is what we're talking about is 2 types of qualities of strength and power. Strength that doesn't get destabilized. The faith is strong, diligence is strong, mindfulness is strong, and then samadhi is strong. So what is samadhi? One-pointed concentration. The samadhi is one-pointed concentration, and the 5th one is the wisdom of discriminating the perfect nature of the truth, perfect nature of the truth. So these 5 first 5 are strengths, and then the second 5 are powers. The first difference between strength and power is, first, the strength is not losing but gaining these 5 qualities. Powers are subsequent ability that nothing similar antithesis, opposite can intimidate oneself. So that is the power. That basically you can't be dominated. Thus, during the strength level, you have to compete with it. You have to compete with that. Yeah. So whereby your faith is being tested is the strength level. When faith cannot be disempowered is when it's power, when it becomes power. So these 10 excellent dharmas are the 10 practices of the practitioner on the path of preparation. Path of preparation, which is path of preparation to realize the path of seeing, yeah, path of seeing, and as a result of attaining these 5 strength and 5 powers, then eventually you will gain the what's it called, on the path of preparation. There are 4 levels. The highest level is called summit, you know. Sorry, not the highest level. The first level of that is called summit. First is called heat, second is called summit, and third is called forbearance. Fourth one is called excellence of dharma. So when it says summit, it refers to that you are actually peaking the actual status of the path of preparation. Because if you don't have the heat and the peak of the path of preparation, you would not have actually have the 5 strength, let alone the 5 powers. So your strength would be tested, so much so now it can disempower. It can actually overpower the opposites. During the strength time, you're basically competing. So when it says summit, it refers to the peaking of this path of preparation level, which actually then you have peaked the highest point to enter into the path of path of seeing, which is the actual realization of the truth. So that's where we're going to stop, verse number 45. So this there you can see that now the text moves on to talk the different stages. After learning to abstain from all the unskillful deeds and practicing tolerance, generosity, and particularly the 7 heavenly virtues, and by getting rid of the bad habits and obstacles such as gambling and so forth, and removing oneself from all the temptations from the outside physical world, and then find a very quiet, peaceful solitude where one practices the 4 immeasurables, meditation, and then one reaches the 4 dhyanas. And then, of course, one becomes ready to actually reach the path of preparation, which actually then prepares oneself to attain the path of seeing. So that's where we're going to stop tonight.